Good morning, good evening, good day, good night on what has proven to be, for Formula One, a week of new ventures and a week of mourning. Today we're going to pause for a moment of silence in remembrance of Sir Frank Williams, the founder of the Williams F1 team, who sadly passed away earlier this week at the age of 79. One of the many pioneers of this sport who made it what it is today. We will all miss Sir Frank Williams, but we still have to continue. The show must go on, and today is, oh my goodness, and we have a Mercedes of Morris who has crashed out of the pits right as I was about to announce my co-announcer for today. It is Mansell. The show must go on, but Mansell, it's not going to happen for Morris in qualifying.
Wow. My teammate from last season, and he's already haven't even been on track for 5 seconds and he's already crashed out. That's very unfortunate. For Morris, and already their race engineer, Mercedes race engineer for them as well. So not a great start for the team, but again, Morris is starting from the back, so he kind of has a chance. He obviously got that strategy, so we'll see what he can do from the back of the grid now.
Well,
but yeah.
The truth is, though, we don't know how this is going to go because it's been a new experience for everybody this week, you know, for GP5, GP4, GP3, and now GP2, that maybe it's better for Morris to start in the back because who knows, it might be a cluster up front.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you might get a massive kind of incident, lap 1, turn 1, and he can just literally just stay at the back and avoid it all, take his time, really, and just carry on. I mean, if he was like in midfield, starting in midfield, might have been a bit more difficult. He might have got involved in an incident. But yeah, I guess that is a good chance for him to actually avoid incidents on lap 1 and just, you know, get positions on everyone else's mistakes, really.
So let's ride on board with the Alpine of Sonicott, the boss man, as he is the first driver to start a flying lap in the GP2 series around the new Jeddah circuit. And I'm not even going to try to say I don't even know how what is the official term, actually, Mansell? Is it the Jeddah Corniche circuit? Is that how you say it?
I thought it was just called Jeddah. I just call it Jeddah or Saudi Arabia. That's it. I don't actually know the full name. Or I just know it's Jeddah or Saudi Arabia.
Well, I heard.
I don't actually know the full name of it. You
see, now I actually heard a term, I believe last week, that I think I'm going to just start going with Jedi. Why don't we just call it the Jedi Grand Prix?
You could say that. For Star Wars, of course. The Jedi Grand Prix. Sounds pretty good to me.
So Sonicott in the second sector, just now entering the third sector. We'll see what kind of lap time he puts down. He will set the bar for everyone else, but it looks like that at the Aston Martin behind him, I think that is TNR Frederick, might be getting just a slight bit of a tow from the Alpine driver, so that is not going to help Sonicott's lap time. But this track is a very interesting combination of long sweeping corners, straightaways, and DRS zones as Sonicott a 130.712, his first lap on the board. And then Timo with a 128.352, already 2 seconds quicker than the boss man. And on on medium tires, we both saw it, Mansell.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Timo, since he's joined, he's just been so consistent. I think he's won, I don't know how many races. I think he's won every single race except from 2 since he first started in GP2. Obviously, he joined about mid-season, and now he's already second in the championship, chasing down Rob. It's this guy. He's on another level in GP2 at the moment. I mean, if he can catch up to Rob, which at this rate he will, yeah. he's definitely, I think, he's probably most likely going to be deserve the championship. Obviously, yeah, just an outstanding person with his lap times and race pace at the moment.
Well, Mansell, you are correct on that he has won all but, well, actually won all but 3 races since he has joined the GP2 series. Of course, last week he did not even get a podium due to the fact that Singapore was called early due to network issues, so we had to award half points. He got 12.5 points for that race, but before that, he had won 2 races in a row. Then he had 11 points in Portimao. Then he had a podium in Monza. Then it was 3 wins in a row, his first 3 races, and he won all 3 of them. And of course, the driver you're looking at on your screen now, Max Iris, he is 3rd in the points in that Red Bull. We thought for a moment that he was going to be able to take the challenge to Carwin Robb. About a month or 2 ago, we had pegged him for maybe a potential underdog, but now we just see him trying to pick up the pieces and scrounge around for a decent finish in the standings, because Carwin Robb has 216 points to Timo's 163.5 and Max Iris's 140. That is the top 3. Morris with 121 and Trench with 120, obviously. So the Haas drivers 1 and 5 at the moment in the driver standings, and of course in the constructor standings, Haas is miles ahead of the field, 336.
But it's a good chance for Mercedes to catch up today. Obviously, we have no Trench, so we've only got 1 Haas in today, and both Mercedes. So Mercedes, they need at least both of them in the top 5 to actually gain on the Haas and the constructors. That's if Rob wins the race, of course. But we'll find out at the end of this end of today's race and see what the results are like.
Well, if you take a look at Rob's lap time, a 127.89 or 852, or is that a 652? I cannot
652.
see 652.
It's a
Thank
652.
you.
Yeah.
I could not see the number, but that 652 up there for Carwin Robb, that is miles ahead of Max Iris there in the 2nd position. So Carwin Robb so far looking very good to have at least a good finish, if not a win today. Just watching Calvin as he's going fairly slow. So Calvin racing 9th with a 131.517 was his flying lap, and then Shu, he invalidated his last lap, so I think he's going to go again.
Yeah, looks like he's on another lap.
Or maybe it was another car that might have invalidated, now that I think about it. Honestly, I'm having trouble trying to... Well, he just invalidated again, so thank you, Shu. I'm no longer a liar. As we'll now talk, or not talk, but take a look at Bracken in the Williams. I really do want to give the Williams a nice little bit of, let's say, TV time today, just for the obvious, reasons of Sir Frank Williams. And hopefully, could you imagine, Mansell, what it would, just how great it would feel if we saw Williams, just stick it on the top spot of the podium today.
Yeah, it'd be pretty good. Obviously, I was commentating on GP4 race earlier this week, and we had a Williams on the podium of Shadowlancer. He finished P2, so that was pretty good. Obviously, it was his birthday as well, so an even better birthday present for him as well. Finishing P2 in the Williams for Sir Frank Williams as well. It was a pretty good result for him. So, but obviously in the Williams today we've got Brackarkson, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Calvin, of course. So let's see what them two can do in the Williams today.
So Brackarkson, is that how you said that? Brackarkson?
Brackarkson. I think so. I think that's how you pronounce it. Brackarkson, something like that. Brackarkson. Yeah, Brackarkson.
Sounds like you're saying Clarkson, Mr. May.
Am I? Brackarkson. It does. Yeah, I suppose it does.
Somewhere in the UK, James May is smiling, just knowing that so many people quote him every single day, and Jeremy Clarkson still being the butt of the jokes.
Yeah.
So taking a look at KXI here in the Ferrari, and he goes to 8th, a 130.181. Let's take a look at Crowhawk in the Alfa Romeo. One of few drivers to choose the medium tires. The only other two is Timo and Chain Game Wow in the 6th position. Crowhawk, we'll see what kind of lap time he can lay down around the Jeddah circuit as we ride on board with him just now in the 1st sector.
Yeah, it's
a
pretty
little
nice.
bit of a slide there. Wow, did you see that? Oh, and he loses it, and Crowhawk into the wall. That is the definition of Jeddah Circuit right there. That was exactly what happened to me the first time I went out on medium tires.
Yeah, Sector 1 is definitely the trickiest sector on this circuit, I would say. Obviously, it's pretty much all flat out through Sector 1, but you just got to get it to absolute perfection to have a good rest of the lap, of course. But yeah, Sector 1 is probably the most difficult sections on the circuit. We've got Sonic Hawk on a lap as well, coming through Sector 3 now.
So Sonic Hawk, his banker lap, a 130.712 on the soft tires. Looks like he's still on the soft compound tires, so we'll see if maybe it'll be just a little bit better for him. The track's going to be a little bit grippier now in Sector 3, so we'll ride on board with him. He's got a nice long straightaway, going to cross the line, and he goes to 8th place, a 129.149.
Martin is also on a lap, and I think he's got an Aston Martin of... It's not Frederick, it's the other Aston Martin. Andreas is also on a lap, but Martin... Oh, Andreas is actually spun, so it'll be Martin next to cross the line.
So, Mansell, why didn't we put Martin in the Aston Martin for this season? As Martin goes 128.489.
I had to think what you meant by that, but then, yeah, Aston Martin. It would have made sense.
So Brakakin looks like, or Brakaxin looks like something's happened with him, and he has invalidated his lap, so he's pulling back into the pits after 2 laps on those soft tires, so he's going to have to try and go again. Let's take a look now at Calvin Racing. He's on a flying lap on the medium tires, a piece of wing right there. I think that was from Andreas just out of the final corner, but he avoids it, and Calvin, a 128.149. So
G-Max in P2 about to cross the line. He's going to do a 27.722, 4.5 tenths quicker than his previous.
He's getting closer to Carwin Rob's time. It's 127.652 to a 127.722. And Max Iris, even though he's pretty far back, he still mathematically is in contention for this championship. He has missed a couple of races. Carwin Rob, I think, has missed 1 or 2. So there is still a chance that Max Iris can, snatch that title away from Carwin Rob. He's going to have to beat Timo. That is, as we've been saying, the unexpected factor of this season that a lot of drivers didn't expect is for him to just come in here and then all of a sudden catch up as quick as he did.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting Timo to catch up the way he is at the moment to Rob. But like I said earlier, he's just been outstanding since he joined, and he's definitely going to be in GP1 next season. No doubt about it.
Well, you guys heard it here first, and from one of the directors of the league, Mansell, saying that Timo going to GP1 next season. So is that like our official announcement?
I would say so. Obviously, we've already discussed it with Timo, and he totally agrees that he should be in GP1 just because of his race pace. I think he's reserved in GP1 already as well, and he was actually up there with the likes of, Laser and Lost Souls, Melema. He was up there. I think he got P4, I think it was in that race. I can't remember where it was about, but he finished P4 ahead of me as well. So, yeah. He definitely has a lot of pace in this league. I think he's definitely going to be a GP1 championship contender as well for next season, the way he's going at the moment.
Just needs a slight bit more development and find a few more tenths, is that right?
Yeah, I would say so. Obviously, GP1, going to pick up a bit off topic, but GP1, Jensen, of course, was a GP1 champion, and he's been outstanding throughout the season. Definitely the fastest guy in this league at the moment. Obviously, it's sad to him that he is leaving at the end of the season as well, but I guess it gives more people of a chance to get that title for next season.
So looking at King David 1, and even though there was a few corners to go, I can't point it out right now, but we will see it throughout the night. Some of these corners, you can be very, very liberal as far as your track limits are concerned. And I'm not sure if maybe you found this out, Mansell, as King David goes to 7th, a 128.656, but there's some corners that are very tricky and other corners to where you can almost cut through them entirely and you won't pick up a time.
Yeah. So this corner that King David's going through now, you can actually cut that corner. If you get it absolutely perfect, you won't get a penalty. Well, you won't get a warning or a penalty. But if you cut it too much, then you will get a invalidated lap time or a penalty or a warning for it. But yeah, like you said, there is a lot of sections here where you can actually go over the white line and the game won't award you the penalty or anything like that. So, and that's how the game should be, because obviously in real F1, that's what the F1 drivers do as well. They completely go off the circuit and they can carry on with their laps. So I think that's how there should be around every other track.
So Cassidy pulling it in, not going to be able to set another time, not happy with what he was going for. Let's take a look at Jaime, the Ferrari. He is third quickest right now with a 1:28.210, just over 2 minutes remaining in this qualifying session.
So Jaime has just invalidated, but I think he's just about to start another lap now.
And the thing with these soft tires around here, Mansell, is that they're going to degrade fairly quickly. You know, now you can last about 11 laps or so, but the undercut is very, very strong around here. So while you can last 11 laps and maybe be okay, it can be more beneficial if you pit quite early and go on the medium tires, which can last a lot longer.
Yeah, it's an easy strategy around here. Easy one stop, soft, medium, medium, soft. So I don't think you want to touch the hards at all around this circuit, because the tyre deg around here is very low. So you, of course, like you say, you can do 10, 11 laps on the softs and then the rest of the stint on the mediums easily. So strategy, it shouldn't be a hard one for the drivers to pick. Of course, depending on how they get through turn 1, lap 1, and how the race evolves, depending on the safety cars and that as well. But yeah, it's not a hard strategy around here at all, as Jaime is currently 6/10 up on his time. At the moment, he'll go pole.
Well, it looks like Carbon Rob and Max Iris both are going out for their out lap, so maybe they'll be able to make it back around and start their flying lap for one final run at the pole position. Meanwhile, Jaime, this might be his last opportunity unless he wants to continue to go again, but we'll see what he's able to do. He is now in the DRS zone in just a moment. There you see that rear wing open. Let's see what kind of a time Jaime sets down. It will be second, a 1:27.691.
Yeah, good that lap from Jaime there. Just behind Rob, which Rob has just started a lap. He is actually behind Jaime right now, as Jaime, of course, gets out of the way. I think Asian is on a lap. Yeah, he is. He's currently sector 1. There's a lot of these guys now, of course, starting a lap now. I think got an Aston Martin, or is it Frederick? Frederick is up on his time, but also we've got Andreas, I think, on a lap as well. He's actually invalidated, so it'll be Frederick next across the.
So let's ride on board with Carbon Rob. Let's see what the fastest driver around this circuit at the moment is doing as far as his wheel inputs and his gear ratios are going. Oh, and we have another issue just like last week. So guys, it appears as though there has been a network error just completely, and everyone has left the session. I am not even connected to Mansell in a party, so hold on just a moment. We are going to try to get back in touch with Mansell and figure out what we are going to do. Here at Mansell, even though it says we are still in the party that we were in together. So just more network issues plaguing the GP2. Though, Mansell, do we have you back?
Yes, I have you back, Tim.
Wonderful.
I think you just had, I don't know what happened there. I think you had some kind of connection problem on F1 2020, F1 2021.
Now,
only
Mansell,
you has like that. So
Mansell, none of us want to relive 2020.
no, we don't. We want to go forwards.
But did you
forwards
say
and upwards.
I'm the only one?
You're the only one. I'm still in the same session. It was just you that left. So I just sent you another invite if you have seen it.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can work around that. Otherwise, we might have to restart the stream if there's going to be a bug that we all know well, which means I won't be able to join, but we will wait and see. Sorry, guys, for this issue. This usually doesn't happen, but it happened last week and this week, except this week apparently it is just me. So we will try this one more time. So tell us, who is on the pole? Because if I trust my gut instinct, I'm going to go ahead and say that it is probably Carwin Rob.
Yes, it is. Rob's on pole with Jaime in second, Max in third, Schwab in fourth, Frohawk fifth, Calvin sixth, Frederick seventh, Timo in eighth. Wow, on the mediums though. Asian in ninth, Martin in 10th, King David in 11th, Chain Gamewell 12th, Sonic in 13th, Cassidy 14th, KXI in 15th, Percuxon in 16th, Morris in 17th, and Andreas in 18th position. That's our grid.
Well, Mansell, we have an issue. I cannot spectate this session.
Are you in this session?
I'm in the lobby, but I can't. Wait a minute. Now it's going to let me spectate. There we go.
Yeah, because we just loaded into. Well, we're loading into the race now. I think that might be why. It should be all right. You might get the. Oh, actually, no, you shouldn't. No, too late. I was about to say you might have to become one of the drivers, like it normally does when you join halfway through. But I think you're all right.
Technology's hard, guys.
It is. Can be difficult at times.
So we've seen the standings as far as qualifying goes. Now it is time for us to get our top 3 picks in, and in any order, I'm going to have to go with Carwin Rob, Max Iris, and Timo. They really are our big 3 right now.
I was literally about to say that. Exactly the same. But now you've said that, I've got to swap Max with Morris. I'd like to see Morris on the podium again. A double Mercedes podium. Morris's look at the moment has been awful. Absolutely awful. So hopefully my former teammate can actually get onto the podium once again.
So you think that he is going to go from the back to the front
Yes.
in Jeddah, and that is something that, honestly, I really would love to see. It's going to be 25 laps around this brand new circuit, and I just want to point out that Speed Force Racing has raced here around the Jeddah circuit before Formula One, and I think that that might be the only track that we can say that we have that distinction of.
I think you're right there, Tim. Because obviously they're going to Saudi Arabia this weekend, so it's actually great as well to see that we're actually at a circuit that the real F1 is actually going to this weekend as well. It makes perfect sense. It's great. Well, obviously, we wouldn't known that, we would be here at the time of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So it's great.
I thought that the schedule was made to coincide with
that. Possibly. I'm not the one who made the calendar, so I was going to direct her at that point. So I don't have a clue really.
I guess I just assumed because it makes so much sense, because we all knew that the Jeddah circuit was going to be coming to F1 2021. We just didn't know exactly when. And obviously, it came a few weeks ago, so drivers have had plenty of time to practice around here or, cuss around here if you're me, because quite frankly, I have a love-hate relationship with this place, and I only drove on it Monday.
Yeah. I mean, GP1, we were meant to be racing around it about a month ago, but of course, the Saudi Arabian track was still not released, so we had to delay it to the final race of the season now. So it is what it is. That happens, and I tell you what, I think Saudi Arabia is still a great track for a final race of the season, to be fair.
I love the aesthetics of the track. Say what you will about the obvious controversy that surrounds the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and for good reason. It is completely understandable why some people would be upset. But I do want to at least admire the aesthetics and, in some ways the nature, because we have the water there, even though it's kind of also very modern and in an urban environment. But it does look pretty. I will at least say that. It looks like a nice, I was going to say well thought out circuit, but in real life, I don't think it's been well thought out because they're still working on it.
I think they must have finished it by now. Obviously, they were going there literally in 2 days' time, so they should have finished it by now.
Well,
if not,
yes,
then,
but
it would have been delayed, of course.
I mean more so the probably the stands and the facilities and everything. I've heard that maybe the grandstands aren't completely finished right now. Of course, I'm not there, so I could be completely wrong, but it doesn't matter because here we go. You hear those engines revving. You hear those itchy pedal feet. The drivers watching the lights. One, maybe Maybe. Not happening yet. 1,
Now
2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and it is a cluster going into turn number 1, but the Ferrari of John takes the lead underneath of the Haas of Carwin Robb. Just behind him, there's a lot of contact for position, a lot of contact. The AlphaTauri is Shu somehow making his way up into 3rd place. 4th place is Max Iris, with 5th place is Crowhawk in the Alfa Romeo. It is the top 5, and they are all different teams. Calvin Racing back there in the Williams riding on board with him, but he has actually got a decently clean track ahead of him, but it's behind him that there is still a big gaggle of cars, and look at King David trying to get underneath the AlphaTauri of Chain Game. Wow, just can't really do anything with it. Their Mercedes just ahead of him, or it looks like it was a Mercedes maybe, but the Aston Martin of Frederick, that's actually who it was. He has got a track of his own as Calvin is starting to maybe catch to the back of Crowhawk, and King David still locked in a very tight battle with Chain Game. Wow.
I think Timo might have damage. He's fallen right back. Now Morris is literally overtook him now. I think Timo's got some kind of problem. He is dropping back big time. Same with Sonic Hawk. I know Sonic Hawk's definitely got front wing damage. Both Alpines have got front wing damage by the looks of it, so not a great start for the Alpines at all.
And Morris getting close to the Ferrari of KXI. KXI and Martin had some contact down that straightaway. Martin actually cuts the corner. Something wrong with that Red Bull. And now KXI trying to find a way around Martin. No DRS just yet. So they can't use the DRS in this zone. It is all pace that you're seeing here as we ride on board with Morris. And he's getting so very close to these two cars, trying to go around the outside of Martin and the Red Bull. But is he able to get the move done? Yes, he does. And you are correct. Martin does have damage. And Martin is now stuck in a gaggle of cars just behind him. So we'll take a look at that big gaggle as Bracken goes by Martin, as Martin dives down into the pits, and Bracken trying to find a way around Andreas in the Aston Martin as they go into turn number 1 once again, but it's just going to be a bit of a nose-to-tail battle with these 4 cars now.
Yeah, great start from Morris. Exactly what Morris wanted to gain so many positions on the first lap, and he's gained about 5-6 positions on the first lap. So that's exactly what he wanted, and all he can do now is just go forward and get as many positions as he can to try and catch up to the front runners if he can as well. But Asian and Sonic are going on to the hard tyres, so they most likely can go to the end.
So riding on board with Carbon Rob, who is a second behind the Ferrari of Jine. Looked like maybe he was gaining on him there for a moment, but Jine definitely has more straight line speed than the Haas of Carbon Rob. So, you know, you got to think just how much rear wing is that Ferrari running versus Carbon Rob, because he was pulling the Haas down the straightaway.
Yeah, at early stage, I would definitely think Jine is running more downforce than Rob. Just because he's gained so much time in that Sector 1 then, and he's already gained about 1.6 seconds on Rob at the moment, so I do believe Jaime is running probably a higher wing than Rob at this point. DRS is now enabled.
See, I was actually thinking that maybe Jaime was running a lower valued rear wing than Harmon Rob, just because of the straight line speed that Ferrari has.
Yeah. I think it can actually be mixed around here, just because of those high speed corners, well, they're all kind of different there's low speeds, high speeds all around. Oh my god, okay, G-Max has just gone straight through Shoaib. Literally, oh, what is going on with Shoaib? I think he's got bad internet issues. I don't know if you're getting the same problems as well, Tim, but...
Oh, and there's contact! Crowhawk gets into the back of Max Iris, and now Crowhawk goes around the Red Bull. Maybe there's wing damage on the Alfa Romeo. Now it is Calvin Racing and the Williams going around the Red Bull and Max Iris. Max Iris just dropping like a rock. Shoe still up there in the 3rd position. The Max Iris goes from 4th to 6th in just a handful of corners. Calvin Racing won out on that, found a way around him to get into the 5th position. Now Max Iris is going to fight back and fight back hard to get underneath that Williams driver, but it's not going to happen in this corner. He's going to have to wait for the perfect opportunity. Meanwhile, Crowhawk 1.1 seconds ahead and catching Shoe at a rapid
around the outside. G-Max around the outside of Calvin, gets the move done. TNR Frederick is going to have a look as well on Calvin. Go down the inside of Calvin. Nice move on Calvin, that was from Frederick. Frederick now moves up to P6, but I think... actually, no, Frederick is now going to come at G-Max. So Frederick is now on G-Max, down the inside on G-Max, and Is he going to get the move done? They're going side by side through the chicane, and G-Max will keep the position for now, but now here comes Calvin back on Frederick. Frederick does keep his P6 position for now.
On board with King David, he's got the best view of this battle. Calvin racing right there at that Alfa Romeo just ahead of him, and now it is TNR Frederick who is just slipping and sliding everywhere ahead of that Williams car, and he is really holding up the Williams car and the Alfa Romeo. This is allowing Max Iris to really pull away from these guys. And here goes King David looking underneath the Williams. He's got the DRS, but they both did. Somehow King David made the move underneath the Williams, but he's not cleared him yet. It's a side-by-side battle. Has he got the Williams? No, he's not. Calvin, he is still there, but now he has cleared Calvin.
King David now up to P7. He's now going to have a look at Frederick. He is quite close to Frederick as well. And also we've got Morris on the back of KXI. 2/10 is the difference at the moment. I think Morris is actually getting stuck behind KXI. He wants to get this position done as soon as he can, because there's about 5 seconds between the gaps between KXI and Chain Game Route now.
King David, he's a man on a mission around this circuit, and here he goes trying to make a move on the Aston Martin. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Yes, he does. Move King David up into the 6th position now. The Aston Martin down to 7th and maybe down to 8th as Calvin Racing. He might just be having a look at TNR Frederick. Just up ahead, you see Shu has lost the 3rd position to Crowhawk, but Max Iris trying to give chase to AlphaTauri, and here goes the Williams of Calvin Racing underneath the Aston Martin into turn number 1, and he gets the move done very, very clean. Oh, and a little bit of a shot to the back from the Aston Martin to Calvin Racing, but nothing too bad, just a tiny little bit of a love tap.
And Morris finally gets past KXI. That moves Morris into the points. But yeah, this has been a really close battle between the top, between David, Calvin and Frederick at the moment, and also Max, of course. A lot of action between these 4 guys at the moment in these early stages.
So now let's take a look at Shu. He is very close to Crowhawk. Shu, as you mentioned, he may be having some communication issues with his car, but so far it looks like he's okay, and that is definitely Shu in that car right now fighting with Crowhawk, and he might actually have an opportunity to get around the Alfa Romeo. He tried to do the old switcheroo on him, but it's not going to happen this time, and Crowhawk, he just refuses to let him by, and Shu just trying to find every way to go. But Crowhawk, he's got the advantage of being able to keep the racing line since he is ahead, while Shu can do nothing except try to go the other line to get around it, but now he's finally done it, going around the outside of the Alfa Romeo, and he gets the move done. Moves Shu back into the 3rd position, but now Max Iris, he has joined this fight, so it's the battle for 3rd, the final podium spot, and it's only lap 6 of 25, Mansell. These guys... Excuse me, these guys are going at it like it's the last few laps.
Yeah, Shreab's now gone wide. Shreab's literally stopped on circuit now and let all these guys through. That's unfortunate there for Shreab, but fair play for Shreab for stopping and not actually making any contact at all with anyone. So Shreab now, oh no, Shreab's back up to 3rd again. He had more connection issues. I don't know if that happened to you as well, Tim, but anyway, he's back up to P3. The battle continues.
Meanwhile, it looks like Timo in the Mercedes. He is, back there in 11th place as KXI has just pitted. He's really in a land of his own. We were talking about how fast he could be around this racetrack, but now he's at jeopardy of not even scoring points.
Yeah, he got unfortunate front wing damage by the looks on that first lap incident. He's now 16 seconds behind of his teammate of Morris. But I think by the looks of it, he's doing a soft strategy now. Obviously, he started on a medium, so I think he's doing a soft strategy now, which again is probably very easy to do.
Crowhawk really making a move around Shu. As you said, though, communication issue, that is going to be a significant issue. Oh, and Shu, he is out of the race.
He's out now. Okay.
So, I honestly think what might have happened is that maybe on his screen, he spun off the nose of Crowhawk. But on Crowhawk's screen, he might not have been there, or he might have been ghosted. Because he was ghosted on the stream. And I was about to turn away from that battle due to that reason when, obviously, that happened. So, Shu's probably going to be mad at Crowhawk, and he's not going to realize until he watches the stream back that there was just an issue the whole time.
Yeah. That's going to be unfortunate there for Shu, because he'll be blaming well, he'll be blaming Crowhawk for what happened, but like you said to him, he'll be looking back at the stream later and saying, okay, I've had internet problems, yeah. Once you get internet problems, you can't do anything about it. It's happened to me before. It's happened pretty much with every league race. The teammate gets a 3-second time penalty, but it's happened to most league racers before many times as well. It's just unfortunate when you get connection issues. You can't do anything about it. Simple as that.
And he arguably was having one of his best races of the season today.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to happen today for the AlphaTauri driver as we watch TNR Frederick try to give chase to the Williams of Calvin, 0.8 of a second separating those two drivers.
G-Max is now past Crowhawk, so that's G-Max up to P3. 6 seconds is now the gap between himself and Rob. The top two are just running away at this stage, but obviously these guys have been battling since pretty much the start, so they've been able for the top two to pull away a bit. Crowhawk actually goes wide, misses braking point, and his teammate of King David might get a move done on here. No, he keeps behind him for now.
Crowhawk, he did everything that he could to get around the Red Bull, but it just didn't happen. Now Carmen Robb, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings.
That is big for the win, the 3-second time penalty for Rob.
That could also be big for the championship.
It could be. We'll find out. See if it is big or not for Rob at the end of this race. You never know, you might get a late safety car. When you get late safety car, you can't really do much. There's so many positions if you want like 15 or seconds worth of penalties or something like that. As Crowhawk, bloody hell, I just went on board with King David, and Crowhawk has had a massive tank slap at, somehow saved it, and yeah, he carries on. So it's very lucky to get away with that. G-Max now with a 3-second time penalty.
And that was right there on stream. Not sure what happened with G-Max. I mean, obviously a corner cut, but I was not able to notice it, so I'm glad that I'm not a steward as Crowhawk goes around the outside of Max Iris. So there goes Crowhawk into the third position once again. So now two of these three drivers have the time penalties, King David and Max Iris. Of course, Crowhawk, the driver without a time penalty so far. And there goes Max Iris just around Crowhawk, and it's three wide down the front straightaway at the Jeddah circuit. And Max Iris was in third. Now it's going to belong to King David and Crowhawk. Oh, and Max Iris spins after contact with Crowhawk. So the Red Bull is in 5th place, and he's in jeopardy of losing that position to the Williams of Calvin. So now Max Iris traded one 3-car battle for another 3-car battle further back between the Williams and the Aston Martin.
Yeah, unfortunate for G-Max, but great move there from King David, making a double overtake on one straight. Very satisfying when you make a move like that. I've done it last week actually in Brazil. Anyway, Calvin now having a look on G-Max. I think G-Max might have actually got damaged by the looks of it, the way he just backed out of that move. Maybe not. I can't see any visual damage, but he might have minor damage on his MFD. Now Frederick has got past him, so I by the looks of it, he has got damage just by the way he just gave those positions to Frederick and Calvin.
One thing that might be affecting that car, though, Mansell, is the fact that he spun. The tire temps are going to be a lot higher.
Yeah, very true. That is true as well.
Oh, and now Crowhawk picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So now the two Alfa Romeos and the Red Bull have the time penalties. Of course, the other Red Bull of Martin down there in 12th place, he does not have any time penalties. So, you know, if points were being awarded for not having time penalties, he would be in good shape. There being still a handful of drivers.
Rob is in for his first stop of the day, and probably his only stop of the day.
As is Crowhawk just behind him. So let's see what Carlin Robb is going to do. I mean, obviously going on the medium tires, but I want to watch him around his outlap after this, because I want to see if he's going to be able to gain, you know, a lot in these corners on Jime once Jime eventually makes his pit stop. So we'll watch Carlin Robb's outlap, we'll watch Jime's outlap, and then we'll see where the two come out in relation to each other, as Carlin Robb just barely comes out ahead of Morris.
So Rob needs to gain about 2 seconds on Jime just on this lap. That if depends, Jime pits this lap, which he should be pitting this lap now. He's seen Rob has pitted, so it should be an obvious choice for Jime to pit this lap to cover off Rob if he can. and see how much time Rob can gain on Giant as well. I think for him to win this Grand Prix, I think he had to make this move to try and get the undercut on Giant if he can, because I think Giant has definitely got a better pace on his early stage at the moment. Obviously now they're going on to the medium tyres, it might change, but we'll find out.
So Carmen Robb, of course, no surprise to anyone, he is pulling away from Morris. Morris 9 laps on those medium tires. Carmen Robb, of course, as we saw, just pitted for the fresh set of medium tires, and you can really see just how far Carmen Robb has pulled away. That just goes to show the advantage that a brand new set of tires can give you, because Carmen Robb came out of the pits directly ahead of Morris. I thought for a brief moment that maybe they're going to make contact, as Morris has a little bit of a wiggle there out of the final corner. Does he pit this time? No, he does not. Of course,
as Jaime has stopped, of course. I think he will. Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, he stays out. He stays ahead of Rob. But now Rob has got traffic with Chain Game Island ahead of him, so this is not going to help him at all. He's going to have to try and get past him as soon as he can.
So there you see Rob out the back of Chain Game. Wow, will the Haas driver be able to get by him? He's going to have to. He's really going to have to put his foot to the floor and find a way to get around this AlphaTauri driver sooner rather than later, because it's... Oh, and there you go. Speak of the devil, Carmen Robb goes around the AlphaTauri driver anyway. So move him up into the second position. He can continue his chase on Jaime.
So he's lost about a second, Rob, on Jaime, just because he, in sector 1 alone, just because of he got traffic. But now he should be involved in any traffic whatsoever for the rest of the race, depending on what sector cars or not. So yeah, he's just gonna have to try and chase down Jaime if he can. It's 4 seconds is the gap at the moment.
Just watching Jaime on his outlap, but there's really not a lot to watch. I think I was kind of hoping that the two cars would be a little bit close together, but it's 4 seconds separating Jaime and Carmen Robb. So King David, of course, in the lead, but he is going to pit from the lead just now. So Jaime will re-inherit the first spot here in any second. There you go, Jaime back up to first spot. But where does King David come out in all this?
I think he's going to come out. He might be with this battle at the moment, a 4-car battle with ProHawk, Calvin, and Timo, and Frederick. I think he might be with these guys. As Calvin has a look down the inside of ProHawk, a little bit of contact made. ProHawk does get the move done though, and King David just comes ahead of this battle. So that's great news for King David. He would not want to get caught up in all this battling. That moves Calvin up to P6.
So one thing I want to commend these drivers for is how cleanly they are able to go around these corners. You know, we have seen drivers pretty much run nose to tail through these sweeping corners with, you know, almost no issue at all. I mean, sure, there's been a couple of rubs here and there. There's been a couple of spins. But I almost feel like maybe in the back of our minds, everyone this week going into this new track was expecting carnage to happen at least one of the races.
Yeah.
And so far today in GP2, it has been very clean.
Yeah, it's been very clean so far. We've had, I don't know how many late safety cars we had in GP4 and GP3. I think we had 2 or 3 late safety cars from about lap 18 onwards. So again, a lot of things can happen. We've got ProHawk now going to make a move on Calvin. Down the inside, gets the move there from Crowhawk.
So now Crowhawk can set his sights on his teammate of King David just ahead of him. Both of them, of course, with a nice set of 3-second time penalties. Hope they wear the time penalties well, because they're going to have to for the rest of this race. And Timo into turn number 1, trying to just honestly keep pace with these guys ahead of him. Of course, with 10 laps on those soft tires, you got to think that maybe that Mercedes driver is thinking about pitting this lap.
Yeah, this lap or next lap, 10 to 11 laps. I think that's probably the time to come in on the soft tires. So he'll definitely be thinking to stop very soon now, or maybe just stretching it out. And maybe we're hoping for a safety car, possibly. But I wouldn't risk it, I don't think.
Well, a safety
Timo,
car. Go ahead.
Timo is actually catching up to Calvin on these old soft tyres compared to brand new medium tyres, so just shows how good Timo's pace is in this division.
And it's also
perfect for Calvin.
it's also very dependent on the sector of the course. You know, I noticed that Timo seems a little weak in turns 1 and 2. But then, as you rightly said, in this sector here, he has definitely gained a significant margin on Calvin Racing to the fact that he's really right up to the back of him, and he might even be able to get around him here in this DRS zone. This is, you know, maybe the first time in recent laps that these two have actually been able to be this close together. But the thing is that they're stuck in a DRS train because Calvin has got DRS as well. So while that helps get both of them closer to Crowhawk, it does not help Timo's quest in getting around this Williams driver today. But of course, Timo ultimately is going to have to pit sooner rather than later. He will stay out for at least this lap, but maybe this time he will be pitting.
I've just seen a wing end plate just go flying across the start-finish straight. I'm not sure who it is.
Could it be that Aston Martin of TNR Frederick, who
could
was just
have
retired?
been Frederick. I can't see any damage with these cars, but it might have been Frederick, like you said.
Well, meanwhile, we've got a McLaren and a Red Bull battling it out, and the McLaren, he will be able to win out. That is Asian 2002 staying ahead of Martin in the Red Bull. So a nice little battle for 11th position there.
That means Agent up to P11, like you said, 11 lap old hards. So he can definitely get to the end. No doubt about it. Trying to get back into the points if he can.
So this is still the closest battle on track at the moment between Crowhawk, Calvin Racing, and Timo. And unfortunately, Timo, he will have to pit soon, and KXI picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Not sure how Crowhawk didn't pick up another set of time penalties through that last corner, as he had a major cut through there. And here comes Timo looking on the outside, but Calvin shuts the door on him. So it's still the 3-car battle through the final corner once again. And another DRS train down the front straightaway. Maybe
that's
though.
Morris in. Crow walks in.
So now Calvin.
Crow walks in. So he might have been the one that lost that from wing end plate. That's weird. Crowhawk on 4 lap old medium is in, and he is getting a front wing change. So it must have been him then.
Now that raises the question: how did he pick up the damage?
He might have just lost concentration a bit, just smacked the wall by accident. Obviously, these walls are very close. It's a street circuit, so walls are going to be close. So again, it's kind of maximum concentration. If you lose a bit of concentration, that's it. If you make a mistake, that's it. Your race is pretty much over. And I think that's what's happened to Crowhawk.
Yeah, and his race is over now with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So at least 6 seconds there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Looked like he could contend for a podium, and if not a podium, a top 5 today. But not going to happen for Crowhawk. But I do have to say that he's been one of the most improved drivers on the season. Crowhawk has really shown that he has got potential. He has got some pace. He just maybe needs a little bit of luck.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And yeah, but now that it does help Timo a bit now, because obviously now Calvin won't get that DRS, so it might be a bit easy for Timo to get the move done. As you can see, Calvin with no DRS now, and Timo just gains so much time on him now. But obviously he's now on 12 lap old soft tyres, and they are getting hard, and Timo does pit now. This chain game well gets 5-second penalty for speeding in pit lane.
Soft tires gave up the ghost. Timo into the pits, as you said, with chain game. Wow, another time penalty for him. Now, did he already have a 3-second time penalty? Because that means that he has got 8 seconds if he did. And if he didn't, then, well, still, 5 seconds is awful. He only has the 5 seconds, so that's bad, but not as bad as I thought. So the only time penalty for him today is that speeding penalty, but interestingly enough, it could be the most detrimental. Yeah,
so chain game well goes ahead of Morris, but he's got to gain 5 seconds if he can on Morris to keep that P6 permanently.
And you can just barely see Chain Game Wow up there ahead of Morris. As we look at Morris's beautiful black and gold and white helmet that he's running today. Trying to find another battle on track, and it looks like Martin getting close to Asian 2002 once again. The thing with drivers who go on the hard tires around this circuit, at least in my experience, is they have just enough pace to stay ahead of a few guys, but they'll just end up holding people up. So
Yeah.
the hard tires, for whatever reason, some people decide to go on them. They're not the ideal tire to be on, but they'll still do the trick. Just not as much as you want.
Yeah, by the looks of it, just these races we've had this week, it seems like the hard tyre is definitely a tyre to avoid. Just because, obviously, they can do the whole race, but you're just going to lose so much time each lap. But yeah, Martin is now gaining on Asian, and Morris could pass the lap of the race with 1 minute 30.432. He's actually within a second of Chain Game Well, but here comes Martin now on Asian in 2002 and gets the move done. And but Crowhawk as well. Crowhawks is following through. We're trying to follow him through, and I think he should get the move done with a better tyre, the grippier tyre, and he does get the move done up to P11, Martin up to P10.
And Crowhawk really flirting with that wall. Not sure if you saw that, Mental, but I thought for a minute he was going to go head on into the wall. Just was able to turn away at what, from my perspective, looked to be the last second. Yeah. So Crowhawk definitely not wasting any time around here. Now he's going to try to go around the Red Bull of Martin. It's going to be a side-by-side battle between these two drivers. Oh, maybe a little bit of contact, but on the outside, Crowhawk will have the advantage of the momentum to carry him ahead of Martin along with those soft tires. So move Crowhawk up into the 10th position.
Yeah, good move there from Crowhawk. Round the outside of Martin. We've got Morris now half a second behind Chain Gamewell. So he's gaining on him. There they are, of course, in the DRS train now. But his DRS is not open. Morris's DRS wasn't open for some reason. Interesting. Maybe he just didn't want to get the move done on this before the final corner. Now his DRS is now open. He should get them. He is gaining on Chain Gamewell, down the inside of Chain Gamewell, and gets the move done very easily. Timo is also catching up to Chain Gamewell as well. But that means Morris up to P6. And now everyone in front of Morris are on medium tyres. So yeah, let's see if Morris can catch these guys up. 15 seconds is the gap between King David and Rob at the moment. Wow, top two are on another level today.
Yeah, John and Carbon Rob, are 15 seconds, as you said, ahead of King David, and, Jime himself 2.6 ahead of Carbon Rob, and Jime with no time penalties, by the way. So that just goes to show that he has ran probably as flawless of a race as he could.
Yeah, so I've just seen Asian and Martin are still actually in a little fight for P11 at the moment. Asian tries to go around the inside of Martin, but they're still going to run side by side. Go in these little sections of corners, and Martin does back out of it. So that means Asian back into P11.
Now Crowhawk, I do believe he's got 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Actually, he has got 12. So assuming that all 12 of those hold, and I think they are all for corner cutting, so they likely will. Asian 2002.
Got a little battle, sorry. Yeah, there we've got a little battle between Morris, Timo, and Chain Gamewell. Timo and Chain Gamewell get past Morris. Both of them get past Morris. And now the Timo is going to get DRS on Chain Gamewell and might get the move done on Chain Gamewell.
So Timo, a driver who we really thought was going to be able to contend for a podium, has not been able to all day long, but is at least able to contend for a top 6 with his teammate and an AlphaTauri, and it's a 3-car battle, and side by side, Morris and Chain Gamewell, but who's going to win out? It is going to be Chain Gamewell this time, ahead of Morris, but Timo ahead of both of them.
Yeah, so maybe some team tactics at Mercedes there. Obviously, I think Morris, with me, my race engineering experience at Mercedes, Morris has definitely well, saying that basically Timo is the first driver who's going to prioritise him over himself first. So I think there was a bit of team tactics there, as Crowhawk has actually retired. Is that on circuit? He's still moving. I think. His car looks like he's still moving.
Right on board with KXI, we'll find out.
He's too far away. Because, yeah, I saw that he retired, but his Alfa Romeo on the mini-map was actually still moving. So that was a potential retiring on track, which of course is illegal in SFR.
So I guess that will that will be addressed and dealt with, obviously appropriately. We do not know if he retired on track for sure. That is between Crowhawk and the division stewards. So we'll see what happens likely later in the week with them.
That's a massive penalty.
Oh,
Jime,
something's happened to Jime. Look at Carwin Robb. Carwin Robb is right there on Jime. What has happened to Jime?
Jime's lost 2 seconds somewhere. He must have made a slight error somewhere, which now, of course, Rob has gained 2 seconds on him. And then now they're equal on penalties as well. So Rob going out maximum tech now on Jime. There's only 6 laps to go as well. Lap 20 of 25 already. Wow, this race has gone quick.
Well, the good news for the Ferrari fans is, as far as I can tell, Jime does not have any wing damage. It is just going to be raw pace and absolute determination that is going to take these two drivers to the end for the final 6 laps of this race, about to be the final 5 laps as soon as they make it around one final corner. Carwin Robb trying to go around the outside of the Ferrari driver. He's going to be able to do it. It's going to be a side-by-side battle, but not this time. Carwin Robb may be going to get that DRS down the front straightaway. We're going to ride on board with the Haas driver, and we're going to see what he sees and feel what he feels, and it's going to be nothing but anxiety, except he goes around him and makes it look easy, so no anxiety there, just nice, calm, cool, and collected Sunday drive for your championship leader.
Yeah, good move there from Rob. Now he's actually in the lead for the first time in this race. Now they're on equal penalties as well. 16 seconds is the gap between these two and King David. So it's literally just a battle for the lead for the top 2.
And of course, Jime, he does have very slightly newer medium tires, which could give him a very slight advantage, but I think there's something a little bit more amiss on this Ferrari than just the tires. So, maybe he has used the tires up, he's just burned his equipment up, or maybe he could have some floor damage or some side pot damage that we are not aware of, because he is actually having trouble keeping pace with Carwin Robb. He loses a little bit, then he gains a little bit, whereas earlier in this race, he was just gaining all the time.
Yeah, I did say earlier, as soon as they get a different tyre, the pace might change between these two, and that's what's happened. Rob feels more comfortable on the medium tyre than Jime does.
And Rob, he just seems to be having a bit of a dream moment right here. I'm sure that he had already decided that, okay, I'm going to finish second today. I'm just going to make sure that happens and take my points and go. And then something happens, and he sees a Ferrari ahead of him, and then he just kicks it into high gear and makes sure that he gets around him.
We've got a yellow flag set to 2. Who is that? I think it's Prakarsson. He's got a puncture. Prakarsson is on 17-lap-old soft tyres, and he's got a puncture.
Oh my goodness! And is it the right front? No, I don't think it is. Maybe it could be a rear tire.
It is the right front. No, it's a right front tyre. That's gone.
So riding on board
with
Yeah, riding on board with Prakarsson, and yeah, you can definitely see it now. You can see that tire absolutely wobbling, so it's going to be quite one hell of a time for Prakarsson to find his way around the rest of the circuit to pit.
Yeah. So I'm guessing he was definitely hoping to see if there was going to be a late safety car, but it just hasn't worked out for him. And now he's going to be limping back to the pits.
And after 17 laps on the soft tires, that's how long they're going to last. So, Mansell, when you race here in GP1, just remember, 16 laps is fine, 17 laps is not.
Yep. Now I know. Thank you very much, Prakarsson. Some important data for my GP1 race in 2 weeks' time.
Meanwhile, Jime, he's starting to catch Carwin Robb. I think with a little bit of help from the DRS, lap 22 of 25. So we are going to... Ooh, and a slide from Jime, and a fantastic save, but he's still going to have DRS on Carwin Robb. And I think that we're going to have a nice nail-biter of a battle to the very end. Just 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and it has come down to the wire. Jime, who has led the entire race, barring pit stops, lost the lead just a couple of laps ago. Something happened to him, and he lost a 2-second lead. Then he lost the lead, and Carwin Robb is now leading the race by only half a second over the Ferrari, who is trying to find the pace. And Carwin Robb, a 3-second time penalty. So that means that if this race were to end right now, now, Jime would win the race due to time penalty. So we're going to have to pull those up. 6 seconds for Carbon Rob, 3 seconds for Jime, 6 seconds for King David back there in third. Wow, I think that Calvin Racing might be on for a podium today by the looks of it. Calvin Racing without a time penalty, but 6 seconds belonging to King David. I think King David better hope that Calvin gets a time penalty or two. Or wait a minute, is he 17 seconds ahead of him?
No, David is 17 seconds. No, Jime is 17 seconds ahead of David, and Calvin 3 seconds behind David.
Yes, making sure I'm looking at that right, because this would be a big moment for Calvin, who this season we thought was going to have at least one win by now. But that has just not been the case for the Williams driver. And as you have rightly said, to see a Williams on the podium today, during this week, as we honor the memory of Sir Frank Williams, that would be just a fantastic achievement.
Yeah, I think it would be his second person in a Williams this week on the podium. Here comes Jime, getting closer and closer to Rob, but he just can't do anything about it. But of course, I think it's probably a sensible move from Jime is to not make the overtake, to stay behind Rob, and an easy win. Pretty much with penalties, of course.
So on board with the Ferrari driver, lap 24 of 25, going through these sweeping corners, trying to figure out how he can get by that Haas driver, but also not make any unnecessary risks. It's kind of, you got to think he's probably in conflict, because on one hand he knows that he can't just back off and cruise, because if he lets Carbon Rob get 3 seconds ahead of him, then his chances at a win are over and done with, so he still has to keep pace. But he doesn't have to make any risks to get around the driver. He doesn't even have to pass him at all, as long as he stays within the track limits.
Yeah, exactly that. I think he can take his time, of course, and just use the DRS, and just get close to him once again, which it looks like what I've seen throughout this week, it seems very difficult to break that 1 second of DRS. As you can see, I'm on board with Jime at the moment, and he's literally lifting and coasting through just before the final corner, so he might be running low on fuel as well, if he is doing that, or he just doesn't want to get past past Rob.
Well, it's the final lap, and honestly, Mansell, I think that
David spun! David has spun! David's gone, I don't know what happened to David, but it looks like he just spun now up with Calvin up to P3.
So definitely not a podium today for David, but for Calvin, maybe if he can make it around just one more time without a time penalty. There is the battle between Carbon Rob and Jime.
No, he hasn't. I know what's happened to David. He's run out of fuel. He's going super slow. I think he's run out of fuel.
Oh my goodness. So he under-fueled the car, and it lasted 24 laps, almost, but it's not going to last 25.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver, who is not going to be scoring points today. But the drivers who will be scoring points is Carbon Rob and Jime. But going back to what you were saying, Mansell, is I really do think that Jime, at this point, he doesn't necessarily want to get by Carbon Rob, so he uses the DRS to make sure he stays close. And, obviously, if something happens to Carbon Rob to where he spins out or he goes off track or goes wide or something, then maybe Jime could have a little look-see. But realistically, Jime doesn't need to get by Carbon Rob, and he knows that. So he is just being very cautious, very careful to keep him in sight, but not necessarily go around him. Never mind, actually, he's making a lie around him. He's trying to go around him on the outside of the last lap. There's really no reason to be doing this, though. Why are they doing this? Oh, Carbon Rob wrecks into the wall, and he is out of the race. And
he's not out of the race. He's just lost his front wing.
Jime will go on to win this race, but Carbon Rob, he will be able to get P2, so yes, thank you for the correction, Mansell. He's not out of the race, but his front wing is, that's for sure. And Calvin Racing, rounding the final corner, he's going to look at the carnage and wonder, oh my goodness, what just happened, and why am I still in third? But Calvin Racing, without a time penalty, is going to be able to get a podium for the Williams team.
Jime, very lucky. Very, very lucky that Rob didn't go out of the race there.
There was
I don't know. Don't know. I don't know if it. I think it might have been racing incident. I don't know. But anyway, if it never happened, if that never happened, it would still have been Jime 1, Rob P2, just because of the penalties.
Yeah. So the result didn't change. But I do honestly believe that it was a racing incident. You know, I don't think that Jaime was just trying to wreck Carbon Rob. I think that Jaime just wanted to finish ahead on track so that he could say that, okay, yeah, I won it legitimately, which I kind of get that mindset. But there was no reason to try that overtake because you were going to win anyway. And Jaime just jeopardized his own race.
Yeah.
And going into that corner, they were running side by side, and I could see it coming. There was going to be some contact, and, you know, if that had been Jaime spinning into the wall instead of Carbon Rob, then we'd be talking to Carbon Rob on the top spot of the podium instead of the Ferrari driver.
Yeah.
There was just no reason to make that overtake, but he did, and it still, I guess, debatably worked out for the two of them, but I guess that's a little bit left up to question. But the results are still the same, so I guess in a way, no harm, no foul. But congratulations to Jaime on his win and to Carbon Rob for the second place finish. Your official results for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is Jaime in first and Carbon Rob in second in a dramatic last lap finish. And then Calvin racing in third, scoring a podium for the Williams team as we honor the memory of Sir Frank Williams. Max Cyrus in fourth, Timo in fifth, Morris in sixth, Chain Game Wow in seventh, eighth is Martin, ninth is Asian 2002, Bracken in 10th, 11th is King David, Sonicock the Boss Man in 12th, KXI in 13th, 14th is Crowhawk, 15th is TNR Frederick Cassidy in 16th, 17th is Shu, and Andreas in the 18th position.
Yeah, so I was watching King David on his final lap, right at the end, and he was in P10 until the very end of lap 25, final start finish straight, and luckily Clarkson just took the final position off of him on the start finish straight, so it's unfortunate there for David did not score any points today, but lesson learned, I guess, to never underfuel the car, otherwise he was of course running P3 and now he gets no points whatsoever.
Well, David would have still finished P4 due to time penalties, but obviously it is unfortunate that he was not able to score any points.
Yeah, but I guess, like I said, lesson learned for him. Don't underfuel the car. Never unfuel the car. Otherwise, that will happen. So I'm going to get any drivers in for you now, Tim.
So that was a... do we say dramatic? Do we say interesting, or do we say boring race around the Jeddah circuit? Because on one hand there wasn't a lot of battles, but then on the other hand the battles that were happening were nail biters.
Yeah, it was an alright race. There wasn't, of course, there was quite a lot of battles on circuit. Very clean, I would say. We didn't even get a safety car once, not even VSC at all, during that race as well. So it was definitely a very clean race for GP2 to date.
And honestly, I'm very surprised that we didn't get a safety car when Shu wrecked out. But, you know, for whatever reason we didn't. And unfortunate for Shu, he wrecked out anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But, you know, the deal with Shu, like we were talking about, that was obviously just a communication issue between him and his car. And very likely Crowhawk as well. So, you know, we hope that he's not too upset by what happened. But you got to think that he's probably upset with Crowhawk until he realizes that it wasn't Crowhawk's fault. And that's the thing, you know, that's what they say in racing. There's three sides to every story. There's his way, there's their way, and then there's the right way it actually happened.
Exactly that.
So it looks like we've got Calvin in here just waiting to see if Jaime and Carbon Rob is going to join as well. Carbon Rob, I do expect to join. Not sure about Jaime, though. So we will give him just another brief moment.
There's Jaime.
Oh, yeah, there we go. So there's Jaime just waiting on Carbon Rob in the Haas. And then we will be able to talk to our top three finishers. Assuming Carbon Rob is showing up, I assume he hasn't notified any of us to the contrary.
He's invited, of course. Yeah, he does normally join.
And there he is. All right, guys, so before we start our top 3 interviews, please make sure that you've allowed your voice to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to the party settings and click Always Allow, and let me know when you're ready.
All good.
Ready.
Yes. Go over to the party settings, and then there should be an option that says Allow Voice to be Shared. Just make sure that that's on Always Allow.
Yeah, party
Share
settings.
your voice. Allow.
And then it allow your voice to be shared. Yep. Okay.
All right, so we will start with our top 3 interviews. First things first, we'll talk to our winners, the Ferrari of Jime. So, Jime, we have got to address the elephant in the room. What happened on that last lap between you and Carmen Robb? Because you were the fastest driver all day long. Somehow, you lost a 2-second lead. And then there on the last lap, you tried to get it back around Carmen Robb, and maybe you got loose. There was some contact. Carmen Robb went into the wall. You went on to win. Made for a dramatic finish. But we're just left wondering what happened.
Jeez, yeah, you can say that. I was trying to save as much fuel as I could, and then just to be sure, I wanted to overtake Rob, because I didn't know if he could get a penalty removed, so I wanted to be sure, and then I wanted to give him as much space as I could on the entry, because I didn't want to collide. But then on the exit, I think I had a tiny snap of oversteer, and I think he came very wide as well, but I don't want to put some words in his mouth, of course. I will hear from him shortly, but I believe that I got a tiny little snap of oversteer, and he was very wide alongside me, and then a tiny bit of contact, and well, I didn't want that to happen, of course. So that's what my view was of that incident.
And how did you lose your 2-second lead originally? Because we saw you, miles ahead of Rob, and then all of a sudden you got a time penalty, and Rob was right there on the back of your car.
Yeah, right. So I was trying to fuel save from 10 laps to the end. So that was on lap 15. I started with fuel saving, trying to get 0.9 laps of fuel back in the car to finish the race. And I knew that I had that advantage over Rob, but then I got that penalty, pretty clumsy, and then I lost the lead because I was just fuel saving, and I knew if I could if he would be in front of me, I could save a bit more fuel when I was in his DRS, and I suppose that was I was going to fulfill that goal, and then at the end, that tiny little thing happened, but I lost the lead because of the fuel saving.
So, just out of curiosity, how much fuel did you put in it at the beginning of the race? What laps did it say it was?
Yeah, I underfueled by precisely 1 lap, or like 0.98 laps, and I reckoned on a safety car because it was the first time that we have driven this track. It's brand new, so I reckoned there would be at least a VSC, which would have saved me half a lap, and then it would be all good. But then, well, as the laps counted down, there was no safety car to be seen, so I was in trouble.
Well, that's unfortunate, but you still managed to save fuel and win the race, so congratulations to you, John. You were fast today, and you have a well-earned victory.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll talk to Carwin Robb in the Haas car, get his take on things. So, Carwin Robb, obviously, we got to ask you, what is your perspective of what happened there on the last lap? Because you picked up a 3-second time penalty about a lap or two from the end, and at that point your win was out the window, but a podium was still very much within reach. So what happened in that last corner?
He just turned in on me, didn't he? Nah, I just wanted to finish the race in style, to be honest. And I don't know, he left so much space and I still managed to make contact, but it's completely my fault. But oh well, I was lucky to get away with it, to be honest.
So it was just a mistake on your part. You did.
Oh yeah, 100%. I just broke too late, and don't know, yeah, just missed my breaking point. I wanted to get a win on track, but there we go. Just racing hard, that's all it is.
Well, it's still another podium for you, but what do you think really held you back today? Because we really did think that you were going to be a driver who was going to be able to win this race. You got the pole, you looked very fast, and you were. But it turns out that you were the second fastest car instead of the first fastest car.
I don't really know. I think it's Jaime was just on a different level. But I don't think I don't know. Nah, there's no excuses. He's just quicker than me.
Well, nonetheless, congratulations on your podium. You had a well-ran race, and this helps you in the championship.
Yeah, definitely.
So now we will go ahead and talk to Calvin racing in the Williams, scoring a podium on the week that we honor the memory of Sir Frank Williams. Calvin, I'm sure that weighs very heavily on you and that you're proud to get the podium in GP2.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm a fan of Williams as it is anyway. So obviously everyone with the sport was saddened to hear the news. But it's a fitting way that I can at least do a little bit. And, first, podium of the season. Couldn't do it any better, really, and couldn't have picked a more appropriate time for what's been going on. Yeah, it was just a brilliant race, and congrats to the guys in the front there on another level and should definitely not be in GP2. Now I know how people were feeling last season in GP3, but yeah.
So how was your race as a whole, Calvin? Because it seemed like you were really just fighting tooth and nail the entire time just to claw out this podium.
Well, I was a little bit disappointed about my qualifying. I mean, I did a practice the other day and I was in the 27s, I think only 2 tenths off of Carl and Rob, so I was a little bit gutted by that. I felt I could have been in the top 3 for podium and been a bit more of a fight. But at the start, it was just very confusing because there was Shire with some connection issues, and at one point I was past him, then he was on the side of the road, and then he's in third, and then he's stationary. It was a little bit confusing at first, and it got a bit sketchy at times because his car was disappearing, so a lot of us were being a bit cautious. But it was a hard race. A lot more passing than I thought there would be here. Obviously, it's a very fast track, as it turns out. Yeah, it was just hard. Good fun though at the same time, and to get away with it with no penalties, couldn't be happier with it.
And
when I saw the little crash at the end, I got my hopes up for a second place, but not quite. Should have done a little bit more damage, it would have been perfect.
I was wondering what you would think when you rounded the final corner and saw all the debris there on the straightaway. But how did you like being involved in all those little battles in the mid pack and top 5 and everything that you seem to have an act for pretty much staying wherever the action was?
I enjoy it. That's the whole joy of racing, is battling people. It's just really good fun. As I said, it's hard. Got a bit of a sweat under in that about midway point. Towards the end of the race, and it's sort of all the strategies came into effect. There was a lot of gaps starting to form up, and yeah, I just had to make sure I didn't get any penalties, stay close to King David in front of me, and make sure everyone else stays behind me. But obviously when he had his issue and went off, it was pretty much sort of a massive relief, and I didn't have to push as hard because everyone behind me had penalties as well. So I was able to just sort of focus on not getting any penalties and keeping out the wall. So but yeah, I'm happy with the podium. It's about time this season. So yeah, hopefully this is a kickstarter for me and the Williams team in GP2. Hopefully we can start to pick up some more podiums and points and move on up the table again.
Well, congratulations on your podium today, Calvin, and as you said, maybe we'll see more of you up here in the future, maybe even next week. Mansell, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, it was just nice to actually commentate on a GP2 race, obviously a division that I raced in last season. But yeah, it was nice to be commentating on this division, and now, yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone.
And with that, that is all the time that we have. Congratulations to our podium finishers. Thank you to all the drivers at RaceWiz, and thank you to everyone who watches stream. And with that, good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. Have fun, and goodbye.